imagine being a victim of a violent crime, where the offender received a 10-year imprisonment sentence, and after approximately 6 years, an official from Correctional Services contacts you to inform you that the offender wants to engage in a victim-offender dialogue session as part of preparation for parole. What would your thoughts be? Rushing the process by aligning it with parole board requirements could potentially undermine the quality and effectiveness of the dialogue. It is essential to allow victims and offenders to engage in such dialogue when they are ready and have had time to be successfully prepared for the process. Therefore, my recommendation is that a victim offender mediation process should be recommended after an offender's admission assessment and should be included in the offender's rehabilitation path and correctional sentence plan. By doing so, the process would be completed prior to parole considerations.
At the heart of my address to you today, and perhaps the golden thread that runs through my presentation, is the view that, number one, victim participation and the parole process are both key elements of restorative justice. Number two, that there is an inevitable conflict between victim participation and parole when justice is viewed through the narrow lens of retributive justice, or what is popularly referred to as an eye for an eye type of justice. To the extent that justice is viewed through this narrow lens, we will always encounter the challenge of the proverbial square peg trying to fit into the round hole of retributive justice. If justice is to be viewed through a holistic lens that doesn't consider restorative justice and retributive justice as mutually exclusive, the conflict between victims' participation and the parole process will cease to exist. It is my submission that parole is vehemently challenged because of the assumption that with parole, serious offenders are easily getting off the hook. Yet, given the heinousness of the crimes they committed, they should be paid back in the same currency, with long custodial sentences or the death penalty, where applicable, being such befitting currency. Again, such reasoning is anchored in the eye for an eye type of justice, which demands that you get what you deserve.
Firstly, I want to express my gratitude to the NCCS for this colloquium, having thought it necessary or deemed it necessary to convene this gathering to share ideas, knowledge and expertise amongst yourselves to further enhance the work of the NCCS. This type of work will definitely help the department to be propelled into new heights, but also to play its role in society. The role that is being played by the NCCS, I see it as a shock absorber. That you take all the shocks and mediate between the state and society, and state that to society and to the state. This is how we can mediate this challenging matter that we are managing between offenders, the victims, and the public at large. And as I go through the files, when they come to me, I see the life of an offender from the beginning to the end. And I'm happy to hear from the report back that you are beginning to consider as to when do we start to engage with the victims, which is something that always comes clearly from the reports. But if the victims participate in the whole life of the offender, I do not think we're going to have such a scenario where we don't know what happened to the victim, where is the victim, and what should be the victim's role, particularly when we can't trace him or her. Society should also be placed somewhere to play a role in terms of the victim-offender dialogue. That must continue from the date of incarceration, because the contestation on the role of the parole system and also on the role of the rehabilitation programs do not start on the date of release. So as we go into the victim-offender dialogue, discussions and so forth, we are doing it within this prevailing environment. What then becomes the role of correctional services officials in engaging and facilitating the victim-offender dialogue? If we rehabilitate an offender, in their majority, they will go back to society and positive role models contribute positively in the economy and into society. And if we have got a majority of them or all of them who are good ambassadors of the correctional services system, therefore, society will see this benefit. We have placed firmly the role of experts and professionals to help reshape the offenders, but also to shape the views of society about the correctional service system and the whole program. At the end of the day, what we have to see as an outcome of this colloquium is how do we turn the correctional services system around for society to see it the same way we view it. In that way, our victim offender and restorative justice program will have then begin to achieve its objectives. And when we go and engage on a victim offender or on a restorative justice program from the beginning when the inmate comes in, we will not be dealing with perceptions but realities of what the victims are experiencing and what the victims feel as an input to change the manner and the substance of our correctional services program. And it is for that reason that this colloquium, it is very important for the South African government so that it will enable us to project, implement the Correctional Services Act in a manner that society will have a buy-in that in these corrections is the future and has got value to add and is an investment for society. Thank you very much.